Man, she's noisy. Alright. We are going to fix the Retrol D16 diesel engine. It's seized up. I ran it yesterday and it has seized up. The company says open it up and find out what's wrong. So we are going to do that. Yeah, we got a 8mm wrench. We're going to start taking the fuel lines off. It's kind of a shame I have to do this because it took about an hour to get all the air out, and this thing primed yesterday. But I think, and of course, it's the 1 metric Allen wrench I don't have, so I have to go find one. They're not tight, but they're not as you would say in German, guten tight, but they are tight. But if I get this out, see, then the whole thing just swings away. So when I put it back, the valves will be tight. So that's good. And take these bolts out. That one was pretty tight. And that one was pretty tight. So those are good. Now the problem is there's probably a issue is maybe a copper gasket. It could be a fiber gasket underneath here. And to get that, oh, it's not. It is just there. Okay, it's nothing. So pull the head off. And we are going to take a look inside. Bottom tube off, and there's water pissing all over the place, so now I have to get a paper towel to clean that up. So I can't move the wheel where the connected to the rod here doesn't turn, and the bolts that hold the cylinder on in the back, they're here on the back, and they're really down. The bottom ones are really, there's no room to move, so the wrench is kind of like so yeah, it's a union job. If you're getting paid by the hour, this is the job for you. And success. Get the first screw out. They're beautiful screws. Okie dokie. We have the cylinder removed. And you can see the piston, she's stuck. They told me in the email that it is probably, oh yeah, there's a scratch in that piston. Probably, yeah, okay, well, this is gonna be more of a job. I gotta take the big end off. I have to, gonna wrap this thing out. Gonna use a, so I put the screws back in, and then, got a aluminum rod, and we're gonna just give it a tap. Hey, here she comes. Here she comes. Watch out for the shoe. Here she comes. She's a man eater. Ooh, yeah. Whoop, there goes the part of the big end. Wow, she's a big one. Now she's not moving. Oops, now I know why. Oh, I got to screw back out. So here we have our cylinder. You can see. The phone doesn't really want to focus, but there's not a single scratch in there at all. There's no scratching. You wouldn't expect there to be. This liner is either stainless steel or carbon steel. Ooh, that's sharp. And the piston is made out of aluminum, so obviously this one's gonna suffer the consequences. There's only one O-ring on there. What happens if you put 2 on there? So we got the chainsaw oil. It's kind of thick and goopy. Just use your finger and stick it in there. Gotta watch where you put your fingers these days, you know. Put some on the piston. And of course, it's Stinks. It smells like sulfur because it's for lubricating. Lubrification. So now we're going to put this in there. And, oh my, she don't fit. This piston has got, scoring on the piston is just enough to keep it from going in there. So, gonna have to chuck this up in the lathe and polish it a little bit. So that's off to the lathe. Maybe some sandpaper, just something to get the edge off. I shall return. Okie dokie. So let's try it again. I gotta sanded it down a little bit with some 600 grit paper, just enough to take the edges off of everything. That's why they have a sharp edge on this thing. It's unbelievable. Don't be on me. Can't get that thing in there. Ooh, oh. Wow, that just pops right out. Okay, well, never mind. So it's a steel, insert, and if it's typical, like I've seen before, it, boy, that sucker fits tight though. That cylinder piston really fits in there tight. They use a steel liner inside an aluminum cylinder, and then they seal it with O-rings to keep the water out. It's I guess a better way to make it in production. The problem is sometimes the cylinder liner pops out. Oh, this thing just doesn't want to go in there. Champagne, anyone? Alright, well, back to the drawing board. I got to sand some more. So what I'm going to attempt to do is, the piston goes in the cylinder, but not all that great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cylinder on and see if I can get the piston to go in the cylinder with lots of oil, and see if I can get it to work itself back in. It's not the best. I still end up having to get a new piston. So the cylinder seems fine, but the piston has got a little bit of scoring on it. So we're going to try it, see if we can fix that part. So I'm going to put it back in here. This is going to be hard to do because you have to. There it goes. Okay. And then I can get in there far enough. There. Then I can, oh shit, where'd the bearing go? It's, of course, they never tell you that once you put oil on these little bronze bearings for the big end, they want to slide around. They want to get out and party. And, of course, there's still fuel in the fuel tank. And I don't want to take the rest of the lines off, so I'm just going to pour some oil in there. I have no idea how this is going to work, but I'm going to kind of smear it around, up inside around the cylinder. Really good. There I go, putting my finger in places I can't see. And then I'll put the cylinder head on, and I'll just kind of rotate it slowly and kind of squeeze that oil kind of hydraulically. Obviously, you would never want to start an engine that way, but just enough to get the oil past the ring. Just enough to lube it. Lube job! Okay, so I ran the wheel through a bunch of times. I didn't use the drill, just counted to 100. Turned in my hand. Doesn't seem to be too bad. So now I'm going to open up the cylinder and see how much black stuff is in there. This stuff here is kind of interesting. I found this stuff on the ring when I sanded the piston with 600 grit paper. This stuff came out. So I'm not sure what that is. It's like melted piston ring or grease or something. I'm not sure what. Anyway, let's just go ahead and check and see what we have inside. Yeah, she's black. That's the piston. It's getting reshaped, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So I got to get all that stuff out of there and let it wear in. But like I said, I'll see if I can get a new piston. All right, so I got it. I think it's pretty good. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to put it back together, and hook everything back up and see if I can reprime the pump. I don't think I'm going to run it today, but you never know. But I think it's going to be fine. I will let the people know that I need possibly a new piston. I did some reading on this engine, watched some YouTube videos, and one of the problems when they come from the factory is they're slightly out of time. The injection pump seems to inject the fuel right kind of a little bit before the piston gets to top dead center, which is fine if it's running fast, but if it's running slower, you kind of want it right about top dead center. The other thing is too much fuel. And when I ran this yesterday, there was white smoke and oil and stuff blowing out of this tube all over the place. So they put too much fuel into these things, and maybe in the hopes that it runs better or something. I'm not sure, but that seems to be a common problem. But we will address that issue later. Right now, I just wanted to get it back together. And once again, oily fingers. They don't really help with these chrome plated screws. These screws look beautiful when you look at the engine, like, wow, that's really nice. But they're real pain to put in. Let me get some standard knurled ones. I'm not sure, but well, she's all back together now. Yeah, perfect. But this injection pump is just, you can hear it kind of grinding, and this spring is kind of dodgy. I think it goes, the spring is supposed to go there, not there, but I don't know, because when you turn the engine off, you're supposed to push this knob all the way up, and that holds the governor down, and the pump can't pump any, so it can't hit the ejector. But yeah, I got to work on this, and I don't know what size nut that is, because it's nothing metric that I have.